Jai Hind students, today we are going to study the next chapter, chapter 7, Employment, Growth, Informalization and Other Issues. Under this basic concept that we are going to study is GDP, Economic Activities, Worker, Labor Force and Workforce Employment, Rate of Employment. So in this GDP, Gross Domestic Product, GDP is the money value of all final goods and services produced in a country. So you know what is GDP? So it's a money value what the whole what we get from our whole economic activities in a year. So that is known as what a gross domestic product. The economic activities, these are the activities which contribute to the GDP of the country. For example, a farmer grows wheat for sale, a doctor treats patient, a broker helps in purchase and sale, etc. So these are the economic activities that we can see in our country, in our economy. So what are we can classify the sector into three, which are the sector that consist of economic activities, that are primary sector, tertiary sector, secondary sector. So what is that? Primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. So you know that primary sector consists of only agriculture allied activities, and the secondary sector consists of manufacturing and other activities, and the tertiary sector always consists of the doctors or the service sectors, the services of doctors, teachers, etc. So next concept is worker. Worker is an individual who is involved in some economic activity to earn a living. So the individual who is engaged in economic activity, he is known as worker. So next point is worker contributes to the process of GDP by rendering his productive activity. So he renders his productive activity. So some examples for workers are farmers, laborers, doctors, barbers, professors and managers, etc. So these are the workers. As you know, these are mainly considering into the three economic activities that we know: the primary sector activities, secondary sector activities and tertiary sector activities. Who all are included in workers? So who are said to be workers? That is the next topic. Self-employed persons like shopkeepers, barbers, etc. Those people who remain temporarily absent from work due to illness, injury or other physical disabilities, bad weather, festivals, etc. Those people who help the main workers, and so the term workers include all those people who are engaged in work, whether for others, that is paid workers, who are engaged in work for themselves, or self-employed workers. So these are said to be workers. So self-employed workers, service sector workers, and those who were having certain temporary job and now they are in absence of their jobs due to certain illness, injuries or physical disability or bad weather, like the agriculture sector, we can say that. So these are the workers. Next is labor force and workforce. Labor force, it includes all those who are working and though not working but are seeking work and are available for work. So those who include the working force means though not working but are seeking work, those who are in search of work and are available for work. So those who are ready to work and they are available for work, and those who are seeking for work may be considered under, and those who are working also. So as such we can say that those who have physical ability to work, so they are considered as labor force. Okay, so next is, in short, it includes employed and unemployed workers. So we can say that the labor force may be classified into two: the employed and unemployed workers. So it does not include which and all categories: children below 15 years of age and old people above the 60 years of age, handicapped persons, all those who are not willing and not available for work. So these category will include under will not be included under the labor force. Workforce, it includes all those who are employed at a particular point of time. So what workforce means, what who are employed at a particular point of time, that is known as what workforce. So in short, these refer to those persons who are working, who are still working, they are known as workforce. It does not include unemployed persons, even though they are willing and available for work. So they will not employ, they will not include which under unemployed persons, even though they are willing and available for. Next, relationship between labor force and workforce. Labor force equal to workforce plus unemployed person who are willing and available for work. So next is labor force is equal to number of persons working plus number of persons though not working but are seeking or are available to work. This will be considered under labor force. Next, workforce equal to number of person working. So workforce is the number of persons who are working at a point of time. So unemployed persons are labor force minus workforce will come under this unemployed persons. So hope you understood the relationship. So this is the formula of relationship. So now this is just a data as per 2011 census. So number of workforce during 2011-12, India had about a 473 million strong workforce. The proportion of a workforce residing in rural area is higher. The rural workers is a 3 by 4th of this 473 million. About 70% of the workers are men and the rest are women. And women workers account for 1 by 3rd of the rural workforce, whereas in urban areas they are just 1 by 5th of the workforce. So we can just say that 1 by 3rd, that is mostly women workers are mostly in the from the rural area. So here urban area you can see just 1 by 5th of the workforce considered the women participation in urban areas. So workforce, in from workforce we can say that rural part is labor participation of women are high. Next is employment. It is an activity which enables a person to earn. So what is that? It is an activity that enables a person to earn. So when undertaken this activity, a person renders his services and get paid in return. If all those who are willing and able to work are working at the existing wage rate, the situation is full employment. So who are able and those who are willing to work is employed, they, the situation is known as what, a full employment. So all the workers are working, so that is known as what, full employment. If some of these do not get work, the situation is unemployment. So two types are wage employment, that is paid work, self-employed workers. The sixth concept is rate of unemployment. It is the ratio of number of unemployed person to labor force multiplied by 100. So rate of unemployment is equal to number of unemployed persons divided by total labor force into 100. That is, labor force means what, those who are able and willing to work. So they and those who are working. So that is known as what, labor force. The portion is to be divided from this number of unemployed persons into 100. So we will get a rate of unemployment. Casualization of workforce. The process of shifting from self-employment and regular salaried employment to casual wage work is known as casualization of workforce. Indian workforce have been divided into two, that is workers in formal sector and workers in informal sector. Then workers in formal sector, regular salaried employees belong to the formal sector, and unorganized sector, that is informal sector, will be the all the employees which are what casually employed will form under this informal sector. Informalization of workforce. Informalization of workforce refers to a situation whereby the proportion of workforce in the informal sector to the total workforce increases. So, the informal sector workforce increases compared to the workforce in the formal sector. So, those who are working in the formal sector will move to the informal sectors for work. Formal sector in detail, all the public sector establishments, those private sector establishment which employed 10 hired workers or more are called the formal sector establishments. So workers who work in such establishments are known as formal sector workers. Such workers enjoy social security benefits, and this sector is also included in the GDP of a nation. Earnings are generally higher than the informal sector workers, and it includes workers employed by government, state owned enterprises, and private sector enterprises. So this the enterprises, whereas public or private sectors, the workers who have been hired more than 10, they are giving their workers what gratuity and other social security benefits for their well-being. So this form of sector is known as what public sector, and private sector comprising both, who has 10 or more than 10 workers, are called as formal sector. Informal sector, it is, we can say that approximately 90% will come under formal sector. It includes farmers, agricultural laborers, owners of small enterprises, and people working in those enterprises, and also the self-employed who do not have any hired workers. So these come under informal sector. So all those private enterprises which hire less than 10 workers will be said as informal sector. So in India, over 90% employment is found in this sector. Informal sector workers do not get regular income. This sector is not regulated by government. No accounting record are maintained by the unorganized sector. All the workers working under this sector are known as informal sector workers. So informal workers, so these are the workers who will be lying under this informal sectors, that they may be casual laborers or seasonal workers like farmers, agriculture laborers, and also owners of the small scale enterprises, and people working in those enterprises also known as self-employed persons. And private enterprises hire less than 10 workers, they may also be calculated under informal sector. Next is meaning of unemployment. Unemployment refers to a situation in which all those who are able and willing to work fail to find work that earns them a living. So that is known as what? Unemployment. So those who are willing and able to work are not getting any work. So that is the situation of unemployment. So according to NSSO, unemployment is a situation in which all those who, owing to lack of work, are not working, but either seeking work through employment exchanges, intermediaries, friends, or relatives, or by making applications to prospective employers, or express their willingness or availability for work under the prevailing condition are of work are called work and remuneration. They are known as what, unemployed. So those who are seeking for work and those who are not getting it, it's a situation. So those who are owing or waiting for work and those are not getting any work, so that's a situation in which the unemployment arises. And it is thus is this situation is known as what, the unemployment. So we can types of unemployment: rural employment, urban employment, and other types of unemployment. So rural unemployment, disguised unemployment, or it is seasonal unemployment. So in the rural sector we find two types of unemployments, that is disguised unemployment and seasonal unemployment. In urban sector we will be finding two types of unemployment, that is industrial unemployment and educated unemployment. And other types of unemployment means some are that are found almost in all sectors. So that is known as open unemployment, underemployment, structural unemployment, frictional unemployment, cyclical unemployment. Rural unemployment has been divided into two: disguised unemployment and seasonal unemployment. Disguised unemployment, it is a situation when more than actually required number of workers are engaged in work. For example, if only two workers are needed on 4 acres of land to carry various operations on this farm, and actually 5 workers are working, then 3 workers are counted as under disguised unemployment. So as there is no change in production, what the 2 workers give to the production, the same production is given by the 5 workers also. 5 workers, when they are also employed together, then that is known as what, the disguised unemployment situation of the 3. So seasonal unemployment, this is another form of unemployment prevailing in India. It occurs because of agriculture is seasonal in nature. The farmer is unemployed in off season. So in with the season where there is not good, the season is not good for the cultivation or anything, so they may be under what, seasonal unemployment, the farmers. Next is urban unemployment, industrial unemployment, educated unemployment comes under urban unemployment. It refers to the unemployment which occurs because of modern industrial development, which is based on adopting capital intensive techniques that uses labor saving devices. So hence many people are rendered unemployed. So here, when capital intensive techniques are introduced, that is, new technology has been introduced, some of the labors have been removed from the worker, and that situation is known as industrial unemployment. So next is educated unemployment. The main causes of educated unemployment are an increase in a number of educated people in India due to increasing number of educational institutions, degree oriented education system, lack of aptitude technology qualification for various types of work, maladjustments between demand and supply of educated workers. So this happens mostly in India. We find unemployment among the educated persons in the country. So mostly the people in India are educated, but they are not getting sufficient job as such according to their educational qualifications, so they remain educated unemployed. So other types of unemployment are open unemployment. It refers to the unemployment in which people are able and willing to work but fail to get work. They are ready to work at existing wage, right? But there are no job opportunities available. So that is known as what, unemployment, open unemployment. It refers to the unemployment in which people are not able to get any job while they are ready to work at the prevailing wage rate also. So next is underemployment. Underemployment, it is a situation when a worker does not work for full time, or even if he is working for full time, he is paid less than what should he get. So what is the situation when some workers are not working 8 hours fully, they are only working for 3 hours or 5 hours, and they are only paid for the particular time period only, so that is known as underemployment. So they are paid less of what they are doing, so that is also called as unemployment, underemployment, sorry. So next is structural unemployment. It arises due to a mismatch between the skills that workers in economy can offer and the skills demanded by the employers. So it's also known as skills gap. So it is due to change in technology, because of which persons who are trained to work with the old technologies are no longer required and are rendered unemployed. So those who are working using old technology, they are not getting any training for the implementation of new technology, and as a result the workers have been removed, and the new workers which who have been skilled for the new technology or new machines have been employed. So the people who have been removed are known as what unemployed, which has been occurred due to the implementation of new new technology or new machine. So that is known as structural unemployment. Frictional unemployment, it occurs when workers leave one job and need some time to wind up the previous job and undertake some formalities to join the new one. So in this process they are not working for some time. So hence will be called frictionally unemployed during this period. So not who are relieving from the previous job and are waiting for waiting for a time period to join the new job. So at that time they are what in the situation of unemployed. So that is known as frictional unemployment. So next is cyclical unemployment. This problem is common in capitalist advanced nations which face trade cycles of boom, recession, depression and recovery. During these phases of recession and depression, that is when the level of income is falling, causing further fall in demand of goods and services, these nations would find a cyclical unemployment. So this problem is common in capitalist advanced nations. So here when the recession or depression will come, the people who are employed, they may be what thrown out of job, and only few peoples may be engaged. So in this situation, the people who have been thrown due to this what depression or recession, the recession period, so this is known as what cyclical unemployment. Again the people may be re-engaged when the boom period will occur or recovery period will occur. So this is known as what cyclical unemployment. Hope you understood. Causes of unemployment in India. Growing population. A high rate of population growth in India is responsible for the problem of unemployment in the country. A high growth rate of population keeps adding more people, nearly 4 million persons every year, to existing labor force who are seeking employment. Increase in population is at a faster rate than the increase in number of job opportunities, may also lead to the this unemployment. So next we can see low rate of economic development. So it's a lower level of development, especially in this agricultural sector and industrial sector. So slow growth rate of economy is another important factor that has led to unemployment. Though Indian economy has expanded and a new employment opportunity have been generated, but still these are not adequate to absorb the available labor force which is unemployed. So next is low level of development in agriculture. Our primary sector, especially agriculture, is underdeveloped, and there is heavy pressure of population on agriculture here. So all the method of cultivation, seasonal nature of agriculture, disguised unemployment, and the lack of awareness are some of the reasons responsible for unemployment in agriculture. So as total area of land is fixed, scope of generating more employment opportunities from primary sector is limited. This makes the unemployment problem more severe. So next is the low level of capital formation. There is lack of investment in the country. Increase in investment in resources is very essential to make our infrastructure strong, so that we are able to increase our output and generate more employment opportunities. Low level of capital formation is the reason for low investment. Lack of capital formation finds its base in low level of income generation in the country. Because there is a overall low level of income in the economy, level of savings also is low, causing low level of investment and capital formation. This vicious circle of low income, low saving, low investment, low capital formation, and low output and low income results in lack of job opportunities, and the obvious outcome is what unemployment. So next is joint family system. So joint family system in India, there is still joint family system prevalent both in rural areas and urban areas. In large families, many family members depends upon joint income of the family. Its effect is similar to effect of discussed unemployment, as joint income earned by one or two family members is divided among many family members. So this is about joint family system. Next is decline of cottage industries. So decline of cottage industries may be the slow growth in the industrial sector has resulted in less job opportunities, and as a result, what happened? Increase in population and migration of workers from rural areas to urban areas adds more to the problem of unemployment in the industrial sector. And we can say that the most of the existing industries units are shifting from capital intensive techniques, which uses labor savings devices, and many workers are rendered unemployed. A number of small and cottage industries have declined due to lack of finances and development of modern industries. All artisans who are skilled in these products have become unemployed. So that's a decline happening in cottage and small scale industries. Next is lack of vocational and technical education. So the existing education system fails to provide vocational and technical education to students at all levels. Its degree oriented nature is different from the job oriented nature of education, which is required to get employment. So job oriented employment, skills generation, and education opportunities are to be increased. So due to increase in educational and institutional facilities, number of educated person is rising, but corresponding to this employment opportunities have not risen, resulting in educated unemployment. So that is one of the problem. So the existing education system had failed to provide a vocational and technical education to the students at all levels. So that is the problem of lack of vocational and technical education. Next is immobility of labor. There is low level of mobility of labor in India. There are many reasons such as lack of awareness about job markets, family circumstances, language problems, religion, etc., which hinder the mobility of workers to better or new jobs. If they do not mobile themselves to the places where job opportunities are available, unemployment is obvious a consequence that is going to happen. So there is immobility of labor, so their labor don't have any knowledge about the job opportunities or job market situation that are in the economy. So it's another cause of unemployment in India. Remedial measure for unemployment. So what are the remedial measures that have been suggested is increase in growth rate of GDP. So increase in production of goods and services is the first important measure to be taken in this regard, and increase in production in all sectors of the economy will create more demand for labor as job opportunities increase due to the increased production. So next is control of population. There is urgent requirement to control the growth rate of population so that addition to existing labor force can be reduced. An effective strategy like a family planning program should be initiated to control population. So next is development of agriculture sector. So we need to develop agriculture sector effectively. That is, it should be modernized and mechanized so that labor productivity can be enhanced. So there should be improvement in methods of cultivation, irrigation facilities, land reforms, government support to farmers, etc. So next is encouragement to small scale industries. So encouragement has to be done for the small scale, that is small scale industries has to be developed, and infrastructure facilities have to be provided for the small scale sectors. So next is improvement in infrastructure. Infrastructure facilities like health, education, hospitals, dams, roads, etc. are very important to develop the economy. If these facilities develop in the right direction, these would enable overall development of the economy. It would open many avenues for work, etc. So next is special employment programs. So employment programs have to be developed by the government. So government should initiate and implement special employment programs to achieve wage employment and self-employment. Government can do this through employment exchanges to direct the unemployed persons to the possible work areas. Some areas where such programs can be initiated are irrigation, power, agriculture, soil conservation, etc. So next is creation of self-employment opportunities. So self-employment opportunities, there should be encouragement to self-employed workers in rural areas and urban areas to set up their work areas. In rural areas, government should provide short-term, middle-term or long-term loans to farmers to buy seeds, equipments, manuals, etc. So in urban areas, there should be financial assistance given to the setup their own enterprises. So next is reform of educational system. So as the existing education system is more degree oriented, effort should be made to make job oriented educational system. So next manpower generation. So manpower planning has to be done. So manpower planning means the system or should be include vocational, that is education system mainly should be included education, vocational and technical education at all levels of education. There should be more institutions providing information about special programs of training or enhancing skills and educated unemployment. should be mainly removed. Government policies and employment generation. The efforts by government can be broadly classified into two. Direct efforts. Government provide direct employment by employing people in various departments for administrative purposes. Indirect efforts. With the increase in output of goods and services of government enterprises, private enterprises providing raw materials to government enterprises will also raise their output. As a result, the number of employment opportunities in the economy will increase. So, employment generation programs. Many programs that the government has implemented aim at alleviating poverty through employment generation measures. So some of the programs are Rural Employment Generation Program. So it is mainly aiming self-employment, and Prime Minister Rozgar Yojana. It is also aiming the self-employment. So first, Rural Employment Generation Program, that is REGP. This program aims at creating self-employment opportunities in urban areas, and it was implemented by Khadi and Village Industry Commission. So Prime Minister's Rozgar Yojana RMRY was also aiming educated unemployed from low income families in rural and urban areas can get a financial help to set up an enterprise that generates employment under PMRY. So it's a by that. And the third one is Swarna Jayanti Sahari Roskar Yojana, SJSRY, self-employment and wage employment. So SJSRY mainly aims at creating employment opportunities for both self-employment and wage employment in urban areas. So the cost of program is shared between center and the state. The ratio 75 is to 25. So it's mainly for self-employment in urban areas. So next is Swarna Jayanti Grama Roskar Yojana. So SGSY. So it's a self-employment program. It was set up in April 1st, 1999. So it was mainly aiming at encouraging micro enterprises and to bring assisted poor families above the poverty line by organizing them into self-help groups. So, this has now been restructured as a National Rural Livelihoods Mission NRLM. So, a similar program called the National Urban Livelihood Mission has also been placed for urban poor. So, next fifth one is Sampurna Grameena Rozgar Yojana. Next is Sampurna Gramin Roskar Yojana, that is SGRY. So it was set up in September 2001. The scheme aims at providing wage employment to poor unskilled workers in rural areas. So next is National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, or now it's known as Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005. It's an important question, may be asked for the exam. So it was launched in February 2006. The aim is to act as provide guaranteed wage employment for every household whose adult volunteer is not skilled manual work for minimum 100 days in a year is assured to them. So this is an important program that has been generated. So nearly 5 crore households have been provided employment, and 100% centrally financed program. So next important concept is participation of people in employment. It refers to the participation of people in the employment activity. Worker population ratio is used to measure the participation of people. This ratio is an indicator which is used for analyzing the employment situation in the country. So by calculating the worker population ratio, we can analyze the employment situation in the country. So the ratio helps us to know the proportion of population that is actively contributing to the production of goods and services of a country. So by calculating this, we are able to analyze how many people are working in our country. So that is known as worker population ratio. So this is the calculation how you can do worker population ratio or workforce participation ratio. So it's the total workers or workforce divided by total population into 100. If this ratio is higher, it means engagement of people is greater. So more number of people are working in our country. So it means that. So if this ratio is medium or low, it means that very high proportion of its population is not involved directly in economic activity. So these are the conclusion from the findings of this form using this formula. So this is the distribution. So it's also as per the census of 2011. Now it may be changing. So men as 1554.4 and total men participation is 1554.4 here, and women participation is 21.9 here. So in this rural men participation is 54.3 here, and urban men participation is 54.6, and we can see that the women participation is more in rural area, that is 24.8, and less in the urban area, that is 14.7 alone. So this is the work population ratio by calculating using this formula has been found. In continuation of this, we can say that distribution of employment. Distribution of employment refers to worker population ratio. According to various aspects, we can study distribution of employment on the basis of gender, that is male and female, we can classify and study. Then we can study according to region, that is urban and rural, and according to this sector, that is primary, secondary and tertiary sector. So it depends upon the study that we can conclude the distribution of employment. Next is a pie chart showing distribution of employment by gender, male workers and female workers. Here self-employed groups are given in pink, and regular salaried employees are given in red, and white casual labor employees. So we can say that by comparing the casual labor employees, we can conclude that the female participation is more. That is, we can say that 31% of female workers are engaged as casual wage laborers. So next also self-employed, we can also conclude that 51% is male workers and 56% are female workers. So here also female participation is more in the self-employed group. And in the regular salaried employees, we can say that male is 20%. So here male is more, that is 20%, and female regular salaried employees are only 13%. So we can conclude by showing this pie chart the gender classification. Next, see distribution of employment by region wise. So here urban workers and rural workers pie chart are given, and here also the same classification. Pink is self-employed, red is rural regular salaried employees, and white is casual wage laborers. So we can say that 15% of urban population is the casual wage laborers, and 35% of rural workers are casual wage workers. Then the 42% are regular salaried employees in urban areas, and only 9% are from rural area as a regular salaried employees, and 43% are self-employed, and 56% are the self-employed from rural workers. So this is the distribution of employment by region. Next is distribution of employment by sectors. So here the three classifications are sector classifications are given: primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector or service sector. Here the rural urban classification is given, and also the sex or gender classification is given: men woman classification. So we can just see primary sector 64.11 1% are in rural area primary sector, and only 6.7% are in the urban area, the primary sector. That is, agricultural allied activities are most less in urban areas and more in rural areas. And also men participation is low in primary sector, that is they are not working as such compared to women participation is more, that is 62.8% women are participating in this primary sector. So next is secondary sector. 20.4% people are working in rural areas from secondary sector, and 35% are in urban area. So it's a urban area calculation is more under secondary sector. So it's a more we can say that mostly it is on the what city areas this manufacturing and all are going on. So we can just conclude that so that's why the secondary sector participation urban area is more. And also we can see 25.9% men are working in this the secondary area and secondary sector, and 20% are women are working in secondary sector. So here men participation is more, that is 65.9. Next is tertiary or service sector. We can say rural area participation, that is 15.5 only rural area, and urban area here the people are coming from urban area, it's more, that is 58.3, it's in urban area. Then we can say that men is 30.5 and woman is 17.2. So here the men participation is more. So in urban area men participation we can say this is more, and this is the just a sectoral classification. Next thing we are going to see here is, we can see that the growth and the changing structure of employment. So here we can see that in 1951-56 the first 5-year plan which was introduced. Here the square portion is showing the employment, and this red line is showing the this what GDP, and this black line is showing the employment. So we can say that the GDP growth was 3.6 in 1951-56, that is first 5-year plan. But we can say that employment is only 0.39. So here there is a vast gap between these two, that is GDP, how much the GDP is going on higher, but the employment opportunities are not becoming as higher. So the gap that shows is jobless growth. So what is jobless growth? Jobless growth refers to a situation when the economy is able to produce more goods and services without a corresponding increase in the level of employment. So that is known as jobless growth. So that we can see here. So after this level, that is we can say that after this 1990 we can say that a vast gap is shown here. So it's not becoming a what similar to each other, they are having a vast gap, and we can say that it's a jobless growth. That's how much the GDP is contributing to the economy. The employment level is not as such a solving the problem of the unemployment. So that is known as this jobless growth. Jobless growth refers to the situation when the economy is able to produce more goods and services without a corresponding increase in the level of employment. So it's a very important term. So here we can say that in late 1990s employment growth started declining. We can say that it's a started declining, and reached the level of growth that India had in the earlier stages planning. So it's starting declining, it's showing the trend like that. So growth means expansion of the economy through increase in national product and employment, but these are not in the same proportion, that is to be solved the economic condition that is prevailing now. The table shows the change in structure of employment. So by this we can say that there was decline in the workforce engaged in primary sector from about 74 percentage in 1972-73 about to about that is for 48.9 percentage in 2011-12. So in secondary sector also we can say that exhibiting the increase from the around 11% of growth in 1972-73 to around the 24.3% in 2011-12. So it's having a wide gap, we can say that. Next, in service sector, tertiary sector showed increase from around 15% in 1972-73 to around 27% in 2011-12. So these trends prove that structural changes took place in India as there is shift in employment from primary sector to secondary sector and the tertiary sector. So there was a shift that is showing that more of the people are participating in this which area mostly they are going from primary sector to the tertiary and secondary sector to having white collar jobs. So as there is a widening gap between the growth GDP and growth of employment, it is necessary to find out how employment growth and GDP growth have affected different sectors of the workforce, so that we can just see from the table and analyze that we can conclude that some of the primary sector engaged workforce have been shifted to which area, secondary and tertiary areas. Distribution of a workforce as self-employed, casual workers and regular salaried employees. So we can say that percentage of self-employed workers declined from 61 percentage in 1972-73 to about 52 percentage in 2011-12. Though it still continues to be a major source of employment, we can say, and there has been a minor change in regular salaried workers, and it has increased slightly from 15.4 percentage in 1972 to 73 to 18 percentage in 2011 2012. So share of casual laborers, we can say that share of casual workers has increased from 23 percentage in 1972-73 to 30 percentage in 2011-12. This process of moving from self-employment and rural and regular salaried employment to casual wage worker is called a casualization of workforce. In other words, it is a situation in which percentage of casually hired workers in the workforce tends to grow over time. So here we can say that here casualization of workers have been occurring more. So that is casualization of workers, that is self-employed person and salaried person have been changed to the casual workforce, that is casual laborers. Hope you understood everything. If you have any doubts, just read your textbook. Thank you, students.